My name's Blair, and I am a financial coach. I work with expats all over the world, helping them understand how to navigate this complexity of being in between multiple countries, right? It's a situation where good advice is often much more expensive than most people can afford. So while I am not an expert in every jurisdiction, I have a higher level of awareness than most people, and I hope that I'm able to help point out to you where you do need to actually hire a country-specific expert for things like Spanish tax laws, for example. So my goal is to provide a service for a niche or an in-between area where there's a lot of people who have a very high need for financial support, but really can't afford or price out of a lot of the existing channels. If you were going to work with a traditional financial advisor or traditional tax advisor, you're looking at thousands of dollars in fees just to work with them, right? Just to do my US taxes every year costs me $2,000 a year currently. For perspective, if you're going to work with a fee-only financial advisor, which is a good route to go, often the minimum for assets under management is $1 million. That equates to $10,000 in fees. Even if you go to an advice-only planner, the fees are going to be $5,000 to $10,000 a year. So I'm trying to fill in a gap to provide more affordable support, but there are limitations to what I can say and what I can do, and there's limitations to my knowledge as well. So my goal is to help you get started, and then in the instance that you do need something more than what I can offer, then I like to refer you out to other professionals. But if you don't have someone to help you get started, you can't get to $1 million to be able to afford these more expensive services. So my goal is to really help people get started and help people get unstuck. Because once you're an expat, once you're living outside of the country of your passport, your financial situation becomes a lot more complex. And there's just a lot of questions involved. So why should you listen to me? Because I have a master's in education. I was a science teacher for many years in Abu Dhabi, where I made most of my career as a teacher. I came into personal finance because I lost money, because I did not know anything. When I moved to UAE, I had student loans, I paid off my debts. And then as my money started to build up, I wanted to do something with it. So I found one of these financial advisors that will call you up on the phone and say, hey, I'll buy you a coffee, let's talk. And they show up in a fancy suit and they don't charge you a penny. They're completely free. And then they sell you a product that, at least for me, they lied to me about what they were selling me. And I ended up losing $5,000 with that free financial advice cost me $5,000. But I see that as the price of my financial education. Because after I lost that $5,000, essentially I'd put some money away, wanting it to be temporary for a couple years. And when I went to take the money out, the market was going up, but my balance was going down. So if it was truly an investment, my investment should have been rising because the stock market was on a tear. But my investment was actually decreasing in value because the fees of the product that I had been sold were extraordinarily high, up to 10%, depending on how you calculate them. Very complex product. If you are ever sold or if you've ever purchased a product that's called an offshore savings plan or anything that has the word offshore involved, that's a red flag that you need to check that you're not either scammed or just fooled by fees. Because the more complex a financial product is, the more likely that you're overpaying in fees. The thing is, investing is incredibly simple. It's not easy because there's a behavioral aspect and there is a knowledge aspect that you need to have, but it's very straightforward and very simple. You don't need to be complex to do well in the stock market. And so it's easy for me to teach others because it's a very simple topic. And I'm a teacher. I'm used to explaining complex things in simple terms. So I came into my financial education because I lost a lot of money in a scam. So I started reading a lot, volunteering to help other people learn in the Simplify community in the UAE. I volunteer with that group quite a bit. And so I learned a lot by reading and by working with other people. And as I got to later and later in my teaching career and my portfolio was growing and growing and growing, I was getting closer to FI, it turned out that I ended up being the expert a lot of times in the volunteer groups that I would help out. So I transitioned out of teaching and into financial coaching. And so now I help other people create a portfolio to create financial independence for themselves. So that's just a little bit about me.